Hello, everyone. On June 3rd, we had a parole revocation hearing of Christopher um, Racadio, and they basically pushed off the hearing to do some research on the case. And today, they came back to finish that off. What I'll do is I'll play the final about 6 minutes of this hearing. If you haven't seen it yet, the link is down below to see the full hearing. And I'd recommend that you do that. But with that, let's jump into the end of this hearing and then we'll move to the follow-up one.
Mr. Racadio? You're on mute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We had a confidential conversation, and we did locate in the court records pending charges against Ms. B, and they have not been resolved. So what we think we're gonna do is we're gonna continue your case, first of all, so we can get all the evidence and all the information concerning your case that was turned over to the parole officer by your father.
Okay.
I also think, since you're represented by counsel, it would be best for you to have your counsel present at this hearing.
Okay.
As soon as we get that information, we will notify you and your attorney, and we will reschedule this as soon as possible, at the earliest date.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay? So, are we ready to vote?
Yes,
Ms. Wise?
based on the need for further information, based on the testimonies today, which triggered a need for more information, we're going to continue this case until that information is obtained.
Okay.
I concur. I think it's in your best interest.
And that there will be a no contact order against her. We continue to not have any contact with her.
Okay, that sounds good.
Ricardo, you have received 3 votes to continue this until we get further information and your attorney be present. You have a good day.
Okay, thank you, sir.
One question.
Well, he's taking it better than I would. If I just had to find out that I would sit in jail for really an indefinite amount of time, I'd be pretty upset. They'll try to get him in as soon as possible. Don't know when that will be, but I'll make sure I get the case for you. I have a playlist called The Return of, and that playlist has the either when someone gets out on parole and then is revoked or similar cases like this, and I'll mold them together. I'll publish this separately because we don't know when his hearing will occur, but when it does come out, we'll usually just cut the end of this and then put it into the beginning of the next one. But man, I'm curious to know. I am curious to know what evidence they find, and I commend the board for being thorough about it, for doing the right thing. I really do. I'm impressed by that. And my hunch, just based off of what the father said, is that they have enough evidence formulated to where he will get out on parole. But I've been wrong many times. What do you think? And with that, I'll let you go.
Well, what do you think? Again, if you haven't seen it yet, I think you should go. It's in the link below. I have not seen this hearing yet. So this will be the first time for me as well. And let's go find out. I don't know. You think that he was being honest? Do you think that she made it up to get him locked up? Or do you think that it was all just a thing? Is he going to get revoked or is he going to get let out? Let's find out. Let's find out now.
Good morning. The parole committee is back to order. The time is 9:39. We are at a remote location of Jefferson Parish Correctional Center. With the staff at Jefferson, please introduce themselves.
All right, Deputy Marlboro, Justice Parish Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, how are you?
We're doing well, thank you. I think our case is Mr. Christopher Racadio.
Yes, sir, I have him right here.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Mr. Racadio. How do you pronounce your name, sir?
Yes, sir. Racadio, that's correct.
Okay. Sir, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Christopher Racadio, 611037.
Mr. Racadio, this is a revocation hearing. I'd like to explain our procedure to you today. I'm going to cover your parole revocation questionnaire. Then I'm going to read the allegations of how it's alleged that you violated your parole. Then we're going to have a full discussion. I'm going to ask you, if you would please, to plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with the statement, or not guilty with the statement. And then we'll hear anyone who has any input referencing this matter. You have present with you today your attorney, Mr. Leo Collier, and your father, Mr. Bernardo Racadio.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll have a full discussion, and then you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say before the board. Do you understand our procedure, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you have with you your parole revocation questionnaire?
Yes, sir.
Let's go over that just for a second. Is that your signature down at the bottom, dated February the 9th of 2023?
Yes, sir.
Are all of the answers that you gave on that date still accurate and correct?
Yes, sir.
And your attorney, you have an attorney. Is your attorney retained or appointed to represent you?
Yeah, he's here. He's supposed to be on the Zoom meeting.
All right. So you're ready to proceed forward.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Collier, are you present, and would you would make an appearance for the record, please?
Yes, sir. Leo Collier III, appearing via Zoom with and on behalf of Mr. Christopher Racadio, who is in the Jefferson Parish Correctional Center.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. We're going to go over his parole revocation. Now I'm going to go ahead and go through his rule violations. I'm going to read the allegations. And Mr. Collier, if you wish to advise him how to plead, or if you've already discussed that, I'll just get the plea from him once I read the allegations.
Sir.
On January the 6th of 2023, you were arrested by Jefferson Parish for domestic abuse, child endangerment. Is that true, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On March 15th of 2023, the charges of domestic abuse, child endangerment, child under 13 present were null pros. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
How do you plead to the allegations of domestic abuse, child endangerment?
I'm not guilty.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Alvin Roche. Would you please answer any questions he might have?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Racadio.
Good morning.
Nice seeing you again.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Freeman and I were on your first panel when we continued the proceedings to get some evidence, and we do have the videotapes now. And I did see where you and Miss Lee had an altercation. And I saw the parked car, and I think Miss Lee came up to your truck. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And y'all saw had a verbal confrontation and then slapped hands at each other, but no actual blows. So I saw that video. And basically, you do have a domestic abuse problem, an anger problem. Will you admit to that?
No, sir. I don't have a domestic abuse problem.
Okay, so what was the confrontation all about?
So the day before that, well, the day before, a month before that, me and my girlfriend broke up. So I moved to my house, and she just wasn't taking the breakup. Like, she didn't want me to break up with her, so she started
Okay,
harassing.
I heard that last time.
Yeah. So the day before the altercation, I filed a restraining order. And the next day, I guess she found out there was a restraining order, so she harassed me in front of my house and was punching on me. So I called the cops. Right after she punched on me, I called the cops. The cops came by to the house, arrested her, and told her that she cannot come by me, text me, or call me. So that was the last day I saw her. Then 6 days later, on the 21st, out of the blue, she just calls the police and falsified a police report saying I came to her house. And that's how I got arrested.
Sir, what was the altercation at the truck for?
That's because I broke up with her, and she just wasn't taking it lightly. That was the only reason why she was coming by, because I broke up with her and I didn't want to be with her.
But you said she came to your house.
Yes, sir.
Were you parked in front of your house in the truck?
I was parked. Yes, sir. I pulled up to the driveway, and she was following me. She was following me to my house. When I pulled up to my driveway, she got out of her car, and when I opened my door, she started punching on me. And that's when I had to call the police, because she won't leave me alone. And I already filed a restraining order on her to leave me alone.
And she was arrested.
And she was arrested. And then 6 days later, which is the 21st, I believe, she files a police report on that day saying I came to her house, which is not true.
Which you did.
Which is not true. I did not come to her house. I would not. That's the last thing I would do. I'm terrified from Miss Train Lee. I'm trying to keep her away from me. I put a restraining order. I called the police on her. I'm just trying to keep her away from me. And now that I filed a restraining order and called the police on her, she's trying to ruin my life because she knows I'm on parole. That's the reason why she called the police 6 days later after the altercation. That's the only reason I'm in jail right now, is because of a parole hold. I don't even have any charges on me. Been sitting in jail for 6 months with no charges. I'm just sitting here.
Okay, Mr. Racadio, I would like to instruct you just to keep your comments directed at the questions that are being asked, okay?
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Cayenne. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cayenne,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I want to thank you for your comments, because that's what I want to tell your client. Just answer the questions. Mr. Racadio,
Yes, sir.
after watching the videos, I tend to believe you, because she was definitely aggressive and she was all in your face. But next time, if it happens next time, just get in your truck and drive away.
Thank you. Mr. Bernardo Racadio. Racadio, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about your son?
My name is Bernardo Racadio, Christopher's father. Here today, I mean, I said what I needed to say during the first Zoom meeting. I think all that was recorded. I'm here today just for moral support.
Thank you. Mr. Christopher Racadio. Mr. Racadio, where are you working at, sir?
I was working at a plant in a bell chase.
You still have that job if you get out?
Yeah, I can still get it when I get out. I have to talk to my employer, you know, but I'm pretty sure I can still get it.
How long have you been in jail now?
6 months.
Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say before we turn it over to Mr. Kaye?
No, sir. That should be it.
Thank you. Mr. Kaye?
Yes, sir. I would appreciate the time that the board's given me to speak on behalf of my client, first of all. I know that the decision to revoke or not to revoke someone is not one to be taken lightly at all. I also know that, you know, as an attorney, it's my job to say things that are only beneficial to my client and to help my client's position, and everyone understands that. However, in this case, I really empathize and sympathize for my client because I had an opportunity to meet with him to discuss the allegations against him. And, you know, from my standpoint, it's not very often that everything that the client tells me lines up with the evidence that's presented to me. You know, there's always some shade of gray somewhere in there. And in this particular case, Mr. Racadio was adamant that the person that was the alleged victim was actually the aggressor in the case, and that he was taking every action within his power to not have contact with her, to separate himself from the situation, and she was still aggressively pursuing him. And you know, through the course of the investigation with the Jefferson Parish District Attorney's Office, Mr. Racadio was compliant in the case against him, and also in the case where he was the victim. And in light of all of the information that came to light, and it sounds like the board already has all of the same discoverable information. The video is showing Miss Lee's behavior towards my client, and the fact that my client had just secured a lawful restraining order against Miss Lee. He was, you know, he's doing everything within his power, within the law, to protect himself and to protect Miss Lee, in my opinion, because it's obvious through the video. I think like Mr. Roche, is it? I think Mr. Roche was asking these questions. It's obvious in the video that these two individuals do not need to be in a situation where they're communicating with each other at all. And I think that's what Mr. Racadio was trying to accomplish with his attempt to get a restraining order. And I'm confident that moving forward, he's gonna take every action possible to remove himself from that situation with Ms. Lee. And he's had 6 months now to think about all the things he can do to prevent himself from getting in this situation with anyone else in the future. So I would just ask the board to consider that in this particular case, based on these set of facts and circumstances, consider that my client's parole should not be revoked. And I thank you once again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kaye. Well done. Well said. Thank you. Is the board ready to vote?
Yes,
Mr. Roche?
Mr. Racadio, your father was exactly right last time. We didn't have all the evidence. We had the evidence against you, but we did not have any evidence of the fact that Ms. Lee was arrested. We have all the evidence. We have multiple videos showing that he was aggressive. And based on that information that I now have, I find you not guilty.
Thank you, sir.
And I vote, do not revoke. But I'm gonna add a condition to your supervision. No contact with Ms. Lee. Basically, I know you've already have an order, but I'm gonna make that a condition of your parole. That whatsoever with Ms. Lee. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, Mr. Freeman.
Mr. Cadio, I concur with Mr. Roche. Make sure that restraining order is still active. Quite frankly, you did everything right, and you're still in months. That's just a glitch in the system that we can do nothing about. So I vote to not revoke.
Okay, thank you.
Freeman. Mr. Racadio, I listened very closely to what Mr. Kaye had to say. Having been a lawyer for 50 years, it's not often that a client will line up with all of the facts as you did. It certainly appears, as Mr. Freeman suggested, that you did everything you were supposed to do. I question your judgment about being in that relationship from the very beginning, perhaps. But one thing I will say to you, and I'm sure you realize this, you're on parole, and that makes you vulnerable to people like Ms. Lee to take advantage of those situations. So you have had an opportunity to sit in jail for 6 months, and I hope you've taken advantage of that to think about what you might have done differently. I'm not sure what you could have done differently, but I hope in the future you guard against those kinds of things, at least while you're currently on parole, because you're going to have that cloud over your head. You've got an issue while you're on parole, you're going to be suspect. So be very careful. My vote likewise is to not revoke, and hoping we'll release you as soon as we can so you can get back to your job. Good luck to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks.
Kaye, it was a pleasure listening to you, and you did an excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Well, there you have it.
Couldn't even mention anything about the drug. Well,
There you have it. So my hunch was right. He was innocent. What did you think? Were you surprised? It's not the first time that we have seen someone get locked up because of a woman scorned. We've seen a few, and maybe I can link those in the description below. I'll see if I can find them. There's a few that come to mind. Maybe you remember them as well. Where the spouse or there's this one. It's actually in. I have a playlist called Wrongfully Convicted, and there's one called Locked Up for doing something to his girlfriend, and she also completely made it up. I mean, completely. And you know, we've seen a bunch of cases where they made it up, right? And the parole board is very suspicious, and we're left being suspicious. But there are cases where it's clearly been made up to get him locked up. And here's another one. And he spent 6 months locked up without even, like they said, a glitch in the system, without even having any reason for it. It's just they're like, oh, we revoked you, handcuff. Now you have handcuffs, and then you just have to wait for your parole revocation hearing. Like, broken system, absolutely broken. But yeah, can you imagine someone who says, "Oh, you're gonna break up with me? All right, I'm gonna lock you up." Call the police after he has a restraining order on her. She goes over to him and confronts him, gets in his face. Luckily for them, they had it on camera. But so easily, it could not have been, would not have been on camera. And then who knows what? So, you know, and she ended up getting arrested. So I don't know what her situation is, but you would think, you would only hope that they would press charges on her for, I don't know if you could, if that's an option, but if you falsely lock someone up, there's got to be consequences for it. And I think we have to give the board a lot of credit. You know, he showed up at the last hearing. They went through kind of the motions and they said, you know what? You claim to have all this evidence. We don't have it. But let's wait. Let's wait till you have your attorney present. Let's wait till you can show us this evidence that you claim that you have. And let's push the hearing down the road. And we only had to wait less than 2 weeks for them to go review the evidence. And they, you know, did good enough note taking. They seemed to remember everything from the previous hearing. And then they commended him and even in a way apologized to him, apologized on behalf of the system. And you know, it's, to me, that this is one of the bright spots of the parole board, because they didn't, you know, I don't think we should take it for granted that they wanted to do the right thing by this person sitting in front of them. They gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I think we got to give his dad a lot of credit from the prior hearing. Really, his dad is the one that came for his back and I think saved him, because it could have quickly gone sideways, the hearing, if he was alone, if his father wasn't there for him, he didn't have his attorney. It could have gone sideways and they could have just said, look, we don't believe you. We don't have the recording. You're revoked. But it didn't happen. So, you know, I think it teaches us, if there's a teachable moment here, it is always, you know, sometimes people are being honest, and sometimes a woman scorned, you don't, you know, you got to take that into account too. That's just my thoughts. Love to hear yours. And with that, I'll let you go.